Hey everyone, this is Daniel from PhoneArena with the Battle of the S's, the new HTC One S versus the iPhone 4S. About the only thing missing from the One S to go head-to-head with the iPhone is screen pixel density. But does it have enough else to compensate? Let's see. The iPhone 4S has this unique steel and glass chassis that is yet unmatched by other manufacturers, even though this casing is the same as in the previous iPhone edition from 2010. It leaves a very premium feeling in the hand, with the downsides being that it makes the phone comparatively heavy, with sharp edges and more prone to shatters and scratches than run-of-the-mill materials. The HTC One S, on the other hand, sports two very distinct chassis materials, a blue-gray version with the more ordinary anodized aluminum, and the black version we have here, which is coated in metal ceramic fusion obtained by zapping the aluminum frame with 10,000 volts, which results in this oxidized metal that is 3 times stronger than stainless steel here. This is making the phone very rigid and durable, no doubt, but if you key it with a vengeance, of course, marks will be left. This is no adamantium. Reports were coming that the nano coating was chipping here at the top side of the HTC One S, but HTC said it will replace the affected units immediately. In terms of comfort, both phones lie very well in the hand, with the iPhone leaving a more edgy feeling than the rounded corners and tapered back on the One S. HTC's handset is one of the most compact 4.3 inches we've handled, and it's thinner than the iPhone 4S. But for smaller palms, one-handed operation with the iPhone will come much easier, since its screen is 3.5 inches and the whole phone is shorter and that narrower than the One S, so your thumb can reach everywhere. The displays on the phones are pretty different in both size and tech. We have the 3.5-inch Retina display on the iPhone 4S with its IPS LCD technology and 640 by 960 resolution, meaning 326 ppi pixel density, good colors, wide viewing angles, and high brightness. The 4.3-inch AMOLED display on the HTC One S, on the other hand, sports 540 by 960 pixels of resolution, which not only results in lower pixel density than the 4S, but since it is done with the pentile matrix, some elements might appear pixelated to the trained eye because of the honeycomb structure of the dots. Nothing you'd notice unless you're deliberately looking for it, though. What they will notice is the oversaturated colors on the display of the One S, which go way above the standard gamut, and the code images making white appear bluish compared to the iPhone 4S. AMOLED has other advantages, like the wide viewing angles and deep blacks, hence an extremely high contrast ratio, almost indefinite. This comes in handy when watching movies, and the AMOLED screens draw much less energy then, compared to displaying white backgrounds during browsing, for example, while for LCD ones both situations don't matter. Now let's have a look at how the interfaces look on these two beautiful screens of the iPhone 4S and the HTC One S. If you're coming from Android, you'll be a bit miffed by the lack of home screen widgets on the iPhone, but if you have only used iOS devices, you're likely not going to notice their absence. Still, HTC Sense is probably the most functional and tightly integrated interface on Android, so we'd give it an edge compared to the icon grids on the iPhone 4S home screens. HTC Sense mostly precludes you from having to download a bunch of third-party software to replace the default apps once you get the phone. And the new Sense 4.0 is less visually cluttered than the previous editions, resulting in a snappier performance. Not that the dual-core processors on both the iPhone 4S and the HTC One S would have problems running any UI or a third-party app you throw at them anyway. Both interfaces play their respective branding roles well, though. When you hold and operate an iPhone, you can immediately tell that it is an Apple device with iOS. And when you operate the HTC One S, you can tell right away that this is an HTC smartphone, and differentiation is key in the Android universe. Despite the smaller size of the iPhone 4S, typing on the HTC One S is still very easy with one hand, thanks to this narrow and elongated profile. As far as the on-screen keyboards, both have very well-spaced layouts, especially the one on the iPhone 4S, but how comfortable typing will be depends on the size of your fingers, of course. The HTC One S browser feels much choppier than the one on the iPhone 4S, mainly due to HTC's overzealous text reflow, which works at every zoom level, as you can see. At every step, the screen flickers a bit and the text gets reflown to fit the screen's width, so it's easier for you to read, but that makes the browser look choppier and slower than on the iPhone 4S. We like more the scrolling inertia on the HTC's phone. A flick of the finger takes you further than on the iPhone 4S, for example. And also, the browser on the HTC One S is more functional with the inclusion of Adobe Flash Player support, which can be turned on and off handily here from the context menu button. And you can also view a desktop version of the sites right from here. HTC seems to have plundered directly from Safari the reader view, which is here in the address bar on the iPhone 4S. It strips an article we found online from all ads, pics, and distractions with a touch of a button. The read button in the case of the HTC One S, and leaves you only with an e-reader style layout of just the text body reflown to fit in the screen and introduced on one page. Pretty handy. Another handy thing HTC is introducing are these top and bottom navigational strips, which move out of your way once you lift the finger off the screen, leaving you with a full screen layout. But once the phone senses you try to navigate away from your section, they appear, so you can save the page you're currently viewing for later reading, for example, or view your active tabs. Pretty handy. The HTC One S has Beats audio branding, which works well by plumping the best sound in headset mode, but you have to plug in a quality pair to notice the difference. The iPhone 4S outs excellent sound too, but it needs a good pair of in-ear headphones as well to take full advantage of it. Since the regular ones that come in the box from Apple are nothing to write home about, and HTC doesn't package Beats headsets with its One series, both phones can't really live up to their full audio potential out of the box. The HTC One X excels in video playback. It plays DivX X80 files up to 1080p with no problems. This is a DivX 1920 by 1080 file, as you can see, whereas you have to convert those for the iPhone 4S or hit the App Store for a third-party player. The larger screen here, high contrast and more vivid colors, as well as the more functional player, make for a better video playback experience on the HTC One S. In video playback mode, its battery lasts almost as much as the one on the iPhone 4S, so it's definitely the better phone for video playback. The camera interfaces on the 8 megapixel shooters of the HTC One S and the iPhone could be more different, but both phones have one thing in common. They have sub-second cameras when it comes to pressing the key, focusing and taking a picture. As you can see, very quick. HTC's handsets can only be rivaled by Sony now in terms of the amount of options that you can actually use on a daily basis. We have numerous modes like panorama, HDR, portrait, group portrait, as well as macro mode, while this transparent blue orb here brings up no less than 15 Instagram-like effects like sepia, vintage, depth of field, and so on. The photo and video buttons are folded into one screen here on the HTC One S, so you don't need to flip a switch first like on the iPhone to start shooting a video. You can directly start filming from the home screen of the camera interface, and since this is an Android ICS phone, you can take photos while filming in the video's 1920 by 1088 resolution. The HTC One S also has a burst mode, which takes up to 99 consecutive shots when you hold the shutter button at the speed of 4 shots a second, and you can pick the best one afterwards. The iPhone 4S, well, you just aim and shoot, and the results are pretty great, especially with the HDR mode turned on, which is about the only thing you can manually adjust here in the interface. Despite the numerous modes and settings on the One S, in close-up mode it often struggled to to focus immediately. You had to tap 5 or 6 times on the nearby object in frustration until it focuses. Whereas on the iPhone, it focuses immediately and blurred the background. When it does focus, the macro mode on the One S makes pretty good photos though. The HDR mode here on HTC's handset will make your photos better exposed only in extraordinary lighting conditions, like when the sun shines directly against the lens in one corner of the frame, for example. In normal conditions, however, the HDR results look as if you have applied one of the retro effects that come in the UI. In HDR mode, the HTC One S is also slower than the iPhone 4S to capture several shots and the several shots needed, so moving objects appear blurred. If you bring down the camera a split second before the shot has finished merging or shake the phone even a bit. Looking at the actual pictures and video, we find the pics from the HTC One S slightly sharper and with more saturated colors compared to the iPhone 4S, making the scene look jollier than it actually was. The amount of capture detail is good from both handsets and in line with what we'd expect from 8 megapixel shooters. Indoors, both handsets perform pretty well with their back illuminated sensors, keeping the noise in check up until very low light levels, but even then the pics are bearable. The HTC One S seems to have the white balance mastered a bit better indoors, as the colors are overall consistent, while the iPhone 4S sports a more pronounced yellowish or reddish tints when the lights start going down. The LED flash on the One S illuminated the scene a bit better from about 5 feet without any incoherent exposure spots or weird shadows casted by the objects. Both handsets film fluid 1080p video with 30 frames per second and good amount of contrast and detail, with the HTC One S again producing slightly oversaturated colors than the footage from the iPhone 4S. Overall, you can't go wrong with any of these two handsets. They perform very well in terms of calling quality and are looking good in the process of operating them. The iPhone 4S has this halo of an Apple product that is hard to beat for the guy on the street, but about the only area that the HTC One S is inferior to it is screen resolution and pixel density. If you plan on watching plenty of videos though, the One S is the better choice. It plays DivX X380 files up to 1080p right out of the box, and the larger screen, higher contrast and more vivid colors also make for a better video playback experience. Thanks to the smaller screen and size, the iPhone 4S is more comfortable to operate with one hand though. The HTC One S is one of the most compact 4.3 inches out there, but you can reach everywhere on the screen with your thumbs only if you have larger hands. Both handsets have non-removable batteries and no memory card slots now, but the iPhone 4S has versions with different amounts of internal storage, and in mixed usage its battery life is better. You pay top dollar for extra storage in it though, and as far as price goes, the HTC One S is starting from about $550 without carrier subsidies, whereas the 16GB iPhone 4S can be had for $650 at Apple or $600 at places like Amazon, and usually keeps value better than other smartphones. HTC phones used to hold their value pretty well too, but what will happen with the new One series in that respect remains to be seen. Overall, the advantages of one of these handsets over the other are not with a large margin in any department, so your choice will boil down to Android or iOS and personal design preferences, given the difference in dimensions. This was a video comparison between the new HTC One S and the iPhone 4S from PhoneArena. For more information about this and other handsets, you can visit us at PhoneArena.com. Thanks for watching.